views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the participants and do not reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
BronxNet. Your voice, your views, your vision.
And hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Perspectives. I'm Darren Jaime, and coming up today on Perspectives, we're talking with Assemblywoman Vanessa Gibson. She's going to be sharing exactly what is going on in her district, as well as the latest happening out of Albany. All that and much more is heading right your way as we continue with Perspectives.
What's on your mind?
Let 'em know.
What's on your mind? What's on your mind?
Let 'em know.
Anything relevant to life, you bring it to the table. Whether you make a move solo or a movement with a stable. No fables, you speak on your decisions. Cause in the long run, it's your voice, your views, your vision. Keeping it real with many messages for you to know. This ain't radio, but DJ runs the show. Entertainment, he rocks it. Politics, he locks it. The host with the most would handle any topic. Don't forget to share your perspective with shines of light. Cause it might make a difference in someone else's life.
Make a difference.
What's your perspective?
Express what's in your heart and your mind. Share your perspective.
What's your perspective?
And welcome back to Perspectives. Darren Jaime here with you, and as we're so glad to have Assemblywoman Vanessa Gibson here with us. She is out of the 77th Assembly District, and we are glad to have her sharing with us, letting us know a little bit about what is going on in her district, as well as the latest in Albany. Assemblywoman Gibson, good to have you here.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Good to be here.
Good to have you. As we know, now is the time where you guys are doing a lot of constituent work within your own area,
Right.
but you come out of a tough session in Albany, got a lot accomplished, and still debate about a lot of stuff that's still left on the table. Yeah. Talk to us about this year in Albany and what actually transpired.
Absolutely. Well, this year in Albany was a very challenging year for us. The 2011 legislative session, the members, we found ourselves in a $10 billion deficit. So one of the first things we did working with our new governor, Andrew Cuomo, is passing an on-time budget by the April 1st deadline, which is the start of our fiscal year. In addition to that, the governor, working with both the Assembly and Senate, we laid out a specific, very aggressive agenda to really get the legislative body back on track to restore the integrity and faith to government. And we also were able to pass comprehensive ethics reform. We did our rent regulation, our rent control in the state of New York. We were able to make substantial changes. We did a package called SUNY 2020, which relates to our public colleges and universities. And overall, I think throughout the challenges we faced, we were able to make significant progress. Many of our residents are now feeling the effect of the budget, where some of our programs have been impacted through some of the cuts.
A lot of cuts.
Absolutely, a lot of cuts. $10 billion is not a small amount of money, and we had to make very, very difficult decisions.
Here in the Bronx, there's a lot of people who complain. Senior services, youth services, arts and culture, seeing significant and drastic cuts. When you look at the constituents in your area, can you be able to pinpoint some people who are dramatically affected by some of these cuts?
Absolutely. With any budget with such a large deficit, the people that are always impacted will be the low income, the working families, the poor, the sick, the hungry, children, young people, seniors, those residents and populations of people that are vulnerable, that really rely so heavily on government assistance. So when you look at the state budget we passed, I mean, although we passed an on-time budget, the budget was $132.5 billion that came to the state of New York. But many of our low-income families will feel that because there are less government services, less services for youth, less services for seniors. But what I can say, one of the victories we did have in the budget is we were able to fully restore Title 20, which was $25 million of money for the City of New York for senior services and programs. We also passed and fully restored the money for Summer Youth Employment Program, which was $11 million that we really needed to keep in our community so that young people have access to summer employment.
Yeah, because there's a problem. You got summer
Absolutely.
here, you've got kids who may not be going to summer school, and you've got kids who aren't necessarily working. A lot of people fall in that crack for summer youth employment. What is the track now, or what's available for young people these days, given the fact of not a slow economy, You got some money for summer youth employment, but what kind of things are available, particularly in your area, for youth? Because there are a lot of people out there saying, listen, I got a young person, but really nothing to do.
Right. In addition to summer youth employment program, there are within the 77th district other recreational programs. Many of our churches and our nonprofit organizations have summer camps for young kids. We have the Kips Bay Boys and Girls Club. We have the Girls Club in my community. We have a number of different programs to serve the children. One of the biggest success stories I'm very happy about that's right in my community is the new opening of 2 pools, children and adults pool at Roberto Clemente State Park, right in Morris Heights, after 2 long years. So we do have a lot of programs, but certainly not enough because of such a high demand of young people and children that are here in our community for the entire summer, not going to school. So we know that it's certainly not enough, but there are programs out there. Our local libraries have a lot of plays. We have movie nights at some of our parks. The Bronx Museum is also hosting a movie night. So there are ample programs, and what I try to do in my role is share that information with residents, hand out brochures, and let families and parents know what's available so that their children are not idling in the community with nothing to do.
When you look at where you are in the assembly, this is your freshman or freshwoman, however you want to put it, you know, but you've got yourself being a rookie, if you will, amongst a lot of major players. The ability to bring home dollars, programs, stuff like that, it's always said that the freshman, whatever, gets the low person on the totem pole.
Right.
Is that true in terms of being able to deliver in the way that you wanted to be able to deliver in terms of financially and bringing those resources into your community?
Yes, absolutely. There's some truth in that. It's very challenging as a new member in such a large body. There are 150 assembly members, and also for me, being a female, a woman of color, I look at those as challenges as well, because you want to do the right thing and make a difference. But what really matters to community residents is what have you done to serve their family? What have you done to improve their quality of life? What have you done to bring jobs in the community, which is really an indicator of how successful you are as a member? And so this year in the budget, many of us, including myself, was very disappointed that we did not have member items, which are local legislative initiatives where we give our community groups a few $1,000s for critical programs serving seniors, children, and families. And that's something that's been very devastating. So what I have had to do this year was really be creative, use the resources I have, the relationships that I have built in the community to allow my businesses and community groups and churches to really support programs that really make a difference in our community. It's always challenging, but I feel that I'm in this position for a reason, and I've been using my skills and the resources I have to really make a difference in the state and let them know who I am and how important the 77th Assembly District is and should be in Albany.
When you have the 77th, there's a lot of people that actually you encompass, about
129.
129, about 129,000 people that you got to deal with. How do you keep track of dealing with the members of your community, given the fact that, you know, there's a lot on your plate that you have to deal with in Albany and then back at home?
Well, I'm very blessed to have a good, dedicated staff in my district office. Also challenging having a small budget for staff. Hiring qualified people that are committed is always challenging. But I have a good staff, very diverse, reflecting the community, and we have been traveling throughout the district. We've been serving constituents on a daily basis and really trying our best to show residents that we're there to serve them. We attend community boards, precinct council meetings, we attend church anniversary events, we attend block parties, festivals, youth days, everything you can think of that would really allow us to promote the office. It's always challenging because there are just so many significant issues, and housing is always a problem with our constituents. The lack of affordable housing and also being able to stay in your apartment is always challenging. But I think that we've done a good job, and we're going to continue to serve as long as there is a need to serve by working together and by also making sure we include young people. I have a summer youth student right now. I hire local college students if I can in my budget. I bring on students that are looking for internship and volunteer opportunities. attorneys, and also many of my community members, many of my retired seniors that really want something to do, that really want to feel a part of the office, come by and say, I'm willing to help, let me know. And so by that, we build a coalition of residents and members that are interested in helping to really serve the greater public.
So now you're down here and you're working in this area. So you're working in this area, your constituents are getting an opportunity to see you. Share a little bit, because I know a little bit about this. You're taking your stuff to the subways.
Yes, I have a program. This is my second year. It's called Summer at the Subway. And this is a program that I got from a colleague in the Assembly, where I bring my district office to the local subway station during the summer months, realizing that a lot of residents only stop at the office unless there really is a need, and so many residents really do not know who I am, what my office does, and how we can serve them. So starting yesterday, every Tuesday and Wednesday for the next 5 weeks, my district office will be at the local subway station between 4:30 and 6:30 p.m. in the Assembly District that I represent, on the local 4 train, as well as the B and D lines that encompass my community. And this is really a chance for people to see what information we give out and how we can really serve their needs.
What's the response been like?
At first, it was challenging because last year when I started, many residents thought I was selling products or merchandise. And after they got over that, they decided, to come to the table and fill out their information and let us know who they were and really take literature. This year, yesterday was the first day. It's been good. As the population of residents I serve, and coming off the train sometimes in the evening, many residents are tired and they really don't want to stop, so they'll just take information and follow up with the office. But it's been really good.
I can just imagine coming off the train and then seeing your assemblywoman like there in the office there. But obviously it's a proactive approach that you want to be able to have hands-on to your people. Do you feel satisfied that you're able to keep up with the pulse of your assembly district?
I do. At times I find it a little bit challenging because sometimes there are just many issues that come simultaneously, and it's hard to really give every issue your full attention. But what I can say about Summer at the Subway is that it's an initiative that I wanted to start as a way for my community to see me all year round, and not just the idea that you only see your elected officials during election time, during the petition process. That's simply not true. There are many of us that work year-round, 7 days a week in serving our community, and I am one of those. So this is an opportunity for people to see me during a summer month when there is no election for the state, and when they know that they can see me. They'll see me next year as well, and every summer thereafter.
In your area, one of the things that a lot of people are concerned about is this whole thing about development.
Yes.
Because there's some areas that lack development in terms of housing. There's some areas that are seeing overdevelopment, and there's some areas that are seeing redevelopment.
Right.
When you look at your assembly district, what would be the word? Development, overdevelopment, redevelopment? How would you characterize?
I would characterize it as a work in progress.
Okay.
And I say that for a number of reasons. There are certain types of development that are always not conducive to the neighborhood, to the character of the neighborhood and the residents that live there. The development that's most important to me is the development of housing and programs for seniors and youth. I've been very fortunate over the past few years of being in office to see a lot of development. I opened a brand new school last year in Morris Heights, an elementary school. I currently have a middle school, the first ever middle school in the Highbridge community, being constructed as we speak. And I also have a new K-12 school being built in the Mount Eden section. So I've been very fortunate, but there are always challenges, because with all development, there is the idea that it's development to push neighborhood residents out of their community, and that is not always the case. We want development that uplifts our community. We want a balance of our housing to reflect the low income, the working families, formerly homeless, those that have disabilities and other challenges, as well as our middle income population and our seniors.
How are you able to keep track, though? Because when you talk about that, that's on the hearts and minds of a lot of people. This situation goes on in New York, where you have development, and you've got these $400,000 condos on one block, and you got somebody who can't even pay $400 rent.
Right.
So you worry about the whole issue of gentrification. How do you watchdog against those things happening in your neighborhood?
It's very difficult to do. What I can say I have tried to do is, in my efforts in meeting with many of my colleagues as well as potential developers and community groups that also want to build, I try to make sure they understand the perspective of the community, because many developers come to elected officials with a vision, with an idea of what type of project they want to build, but it may not necessarily work for that community. So for all that I can do as a legislator to have an impact, I will do that and make sure that the community's presence, the community's perspective is always at the forefront of discussions.
All right, let's come back and talk a little bit more with Assemblywoman Vanessa Gibson. She is from the 77th Assembly District, and we're talking with her today here on Perspectives. We want you to stay with us. Going to take a quick break and come on back and continue our discussion right after this.
Along with weight loss, it's one of the many ways to fight osteoarthritis pain. For more information on managing pain, go to fightarthritispain.org.
When it's time for lunch, a sandwich is a quick and easy choice. And with the right ingredients, it can be good and good for you. So I'm here today to see who can build the ultimate sandwich. All right, when the time is up, our judges will give you their scores. Ready, set, go! Okay, Jason starts out with a multi-grain roll. Ooh, Allison stuffing her pita with, yes, spinach, a great source of iron. Jason isn't skipping on the protein, adding plenty of smoked turkey, just like Allison's putting the finishing touches with crispy red bell peppers for a dose of vitamin A. Time! It looks like we have a tie. We'll need to call in our special guest referee.
Now, these are what I call quick, delicious lunches. Whole grain breads, a whole variety of ingredients. There are so many different ways to build delicious, healthy sandwiches. These two get high marks in every category. I'd say you're both winners. America.
Let's get healthy together.
We can all be energy savers. It's easy. Turn off lights. Use energy-saving light bulbs. And turn off electronics and appliances when not in use. Make a change and we can really fly. Learn more at energy.gov/kids.
And we're back here on Perspectives. Darren Jaime here with you. Our topic of conversation is Assemblywoman Vanessa Gibson and the work that's going on in her 77th Assembly District. As you know, Albany is in recess for the time to be, and she's down in the area doing constituent services. But of course, Bronx is your home anyway. But many times people get conflicted though, because they think, listen, you know, they spend a lot of time up there in Albany, but you have to have that. You have to have that balance.
Absolutely.
I guess, you know, share with us a little bit about this. We were talking a little bit about some of the things that are going on in your district, and you know, one of the things that continues to rise is kids, parents, and then you also have something special with grandparents.
Right.
So why don't you let us know a little bit about the grandparents initiative?
Well, one of the challenges that really face our community, and specific to my neighborhood, is the high number of children in the foster care system. And so what we have been doing is working with community groups to build housing that's specific to youth aging out of foster care. And I'm very proud that one of the organizations has stepped up and is now in the process of constructing a building, a new housing development of youth aging out of the foster care system that would also provide support of services on site, as well as grandparents that are raising their grandchildren and other relatives. In the Bronx, we have the only housing unit that is home to grandparents raising their children. And I think it's significant because it's an opportunity to recognize one of the biggest issues we have, and that's children in our foster care system. If we can capture those children, we can save their lives. And this is a chance for grandparents to step up, and they're being parents again, and we're giving them the support that they need to do so.
When you talk about the numbers of kids in foster care, it seems like you have a disproportionate amount in your area.
Yes.
So when you talk about is there any reason as to why, any background as to why?
Well, I don't have anything documented on why my community has the highest, but I do think that it goes along with some of the challenges in terms of social service and economic barriers facing many parents in my community. It's difficult to raise children these days, and for any parent, mother, father, that steps up to the plate and raises a child, we commend them. But we understand that many of them need help, and they need the support, and they don't always get that support. And I think for that reason and many others, some of the economic and educational, employment, housing barriers that many of these parents face, many children fall into the foster care system.
Being on the battlefield and you know, being ground friendly to a lot of stuff, you have the opportunity to actually see, hear. One of the things that I hear as from, you know, people in the community about politicians is sometimes they don't connect the dots for us in terms of access to resources. They know where the resources are. We don't necessarily know what the resources are. Do you find that a lot of constituents really don't know about the access to resources?
Absolutely, for many different reasons. I, in the Bronx, have such a growing, diverse community of different cultures and languages, and when many residents come to New York, to the Bronx to live, raise their families, they're really assimilating into our culture. So there's a huge challenge to understand how our school system works, how you access social services and government funding, how do you access jobs and other employment opportunities. And so for the elected officials like myself, we try to get that information to them, right in their home, right in their community, local businesses, at their local church, at various community meetings, stuffing buildings, some are at the subway, anything we can do to let the message resonate that you can get help if you just ask for it. What many residents sometimes do not understand is this has to be a two-way street. For all of the work that I do, once I give you that literature, that phone number, you have to take the next initiative and actually make the connection and call, visit the office, find out what's happening, follow up. Follow through. Make sure that your child, your relative, your family gets that service that you need. So this is really a two-way street. This is really about building a relationship. And for many people, it's hard to start a relationship.
Yes, it is. And I think sometimes when people look around and they see their struggle, they don't necessarily have the necessary components to actually link the dots together. But one thing that people talk about in government is that there is this plethora of resources, just sometimes the community just doesn't really aren't able to know it. Given the fact of the budget and the resources that are out there, do you find that more and more are actually on the rise, or are things diminishing given the fact of the economic times that we're facing right now?
Resources are diminishing. Always, from the federal government to the state government, right here to our local city council and city government, funding is at a scarce. There are community groups that have provided significant services and programs, and their funding is being cut year after year. The demand is going up, and they're being asked to serve a greater population with more regulations, more rules, and less money, less funding, less support. And so many of our community groups are now being creative. They're tapping into philanthropic and private foundations and trying to raise money on their own. They're trying to highlight through other activities and events in the community where residents can be a part of contributing in some way. I mean, we really have to ask people to be more creative, because government funding is never guaranteed, and it certainly does not come every year. And so I don't see this subsiding for a little while. I do see the challenges continuing to exist, but for what I can do to help community groups access grant opportunities from the federal government, state and city, I will do that and help as much as I can.
Where do we see things going as we go back to Albany? Because you left a lot of stuff on the table. What are some of the main initiatives that you want to see dealt with, and you hope that they're actually dealt with as soon as you get back?
I want member items in the budget next year. I want to be able to go to my community groups, my senior centers, and my youth programs and be able to give them government money so they can operate their programs. We were not happy this year that we did not do it, and it's something that will definitely be a priority for many of the residents in my community, and definitely many of my colleagues that I work with, particularly the Bronx as a delegation. We've been underserved for so long, and we want to make sure that the Bronx is given the the attention that it deserves to the state. Rent regulation may come back up. We did pass rent regulation this year and extended it for another 4 years, so that may come up as well because there were not as many successes as we wanted there to be. So we will try again next year with the new legislative session that we'll have in 2012.
Talk to us about the MTA. A lot of people are concerned about that. You got people riding around the streets saying, listen, you know, we pay a lot of money already for train service. A recent report came out in the Daily News that train services are actually being cut, you know, but yet and still as the cuts continue, the increases continue on one side. Any concern on your part in terms of that, knowing the fact that people are saying, listen, you know, you're cutting, but then you're still trying to put it on our backs?
Right. It's very challenging because many residents do not understand the MTA is a private entity. They're not overseen by the state or city government. The MTA operates through government funding in their capital budget. They get the MTA mobility tax, which was passed in 2009, which is dedicated tax revenue every month. For all of the revenue that the MTA gets, residents, elected officials have not been happy at the performance. We had to deal with the student Metro card issue last year because that was a potential cut in our budget, and we were able to save that. I am trying a lot to make sure that residents understand that this is a private entity, but we have to make sure that there is some accountability. There are millions and billions of dollars that go through the MTA's budget, and yet the trains are crowded, the buses are frequent, not as frequent and few, and we have to do something about it. I sit on the Corporations Committee, which oversees the MTA, and I know that there are discussions to try to enact additional legislation that can make some more oversights and more accountability, because for all the money, many of us do not know where the money is going, and this is a huge infrastructure. The MTA operates our bridges, highways, our roads, our city transportation, and it's a mass industry, and we're trying to make sure that it works more effectively and efficiently.
Yeah, when you look at $4 for a toll just to go over the, you know, the bridge over here, $5, a lot of questions that still remain answered. So talk to us about what's going on in the future for your district. What do you see happening in the future?
I see more development happening for families. I see more development projects, more businesses coming into the community, bringing in more jobs, which is always good because a job is the best social program that anyone can have in our community. I see a children's museum coming to our borough, the very first ever of its kind, which will be right along the Harlem River waterfront. I see more projects that really cater to young people because we have to capture our young people and give them mentoring and other programs that they need to live a positive life, to have guidance and structure, which is what young people need. I see more development in our New York City Housing Authority, which is NYCHA, the Public Housing Development. I see more public-private partnerships with them to bring in more services for children. I possibly see another school or two down the line, which is always great. I represent School District 9, and we have a major problem with overcrowding in our school district, so we always need more middle seat schools for students. I see more amenities to bring recreational opportunities. We have a swimming pool at Roberto Clemente, and we're bringing in another swimming pool at the new settlement school. So I see a lot more to really address an increasing population that will come to our community with most likely the same challenges of jobs, housing, education, and healthcare.
So for people who want to get in touch with the Assemblywoman, we encourage you to get in touch with her at her district office. You'll actually be finding it where? Your district office is going to be out at the subway station, we said, right?
Yes, just Tuesday and Wednesday, but every time outside of that, Monday through Friday, my office is 930 Grand Concourse on the northbound side between 162nd and 163rd Street, and my district office is 718-538-2000. Please come by and visit. Let me know who you are. Let me know what I can do to better serve you. And I certainly look forward to seeing my constituents in the district.
And we say the same thing. Please come by and visit us here again and continue to let us know. Assemblywoman Vanessa Gibson, our guest, thank you so much for coming to share.
Thank you. Thank you as well.
All righty. Well, she's our guest here on Perspectives. And as you said, you can find out more information by going and checking out her district office. Got the website. You can find out all the pertinent information and know what are some of the issues that are actually affecting the community and how you can actually play a part and or alert your elected official. As always, here on Perspectives, we give people the opportunity to share their perspectives. And so we want you to continue to do that too. We've got a Facebook page. We've also got that YouTube page. And we encourage you to take advantage of all those different places so we can know exactly what you're thinking about the show. Unfortunately, that wraps up this edition of Perspectives. Until the next time we meet, we encourage you to stay safe and share your perspective with somebody else, because it just might make a difference in their life. I'm Darren Jaime saying until the next time we meet, take care and share your perspective.
Let 'em know.